Open Market is sponsored by AdLib, the self-serve DSP solution making advertising easy. What do the world's largest demand-side platforms have in common? They're effective, but they require large annual contracts and spend minimums. With AdLib, growing agencies get a single platform that connects to every top global DSP with no contracts, no spend minimums, and G2's #1 ranked support. That means access to the entire universe of TV, digital out-of-home, audio, display, video, and native without a hassle and with no blind spots. It's incredibly easy to use, plus it can automate most of the work your team spends hours a day doing manually. Get the most powerful media buying technology without the barriers to entry. Check out AdLib at getadlib.com today.
Welcome to Open Market, a podcast about building companies in the advertising industry. I'm Joe Zappa, joined by Franchi, and the man newly revolutionizing CTV advertising, Arthur Querou.
Like as I was saying, we're currently at our company-wide offsite in Colorado. We unveiled lots of new products at the same time. So pretty exciting period for us right now.
Did Joe get your last name correct?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. If you want the pronunciation like perfect, it would be Querou, but I'll go with it. No worries about that.
Hold on, Joe is good with French.
J'ai pas dit votre nom en française parce que je l'ai fait la semaine dernière avec Mathieu Roche, and Eric was shook when I did that. I've never seen him so stunned, but yes, I can occasionally whip that out.
Yes, sir. I cannot, so I will refrain. Anyway, Arthur, thank you for taking time during what has been a big week for you on the company front and on the product front. And you had a unique product launch this week that we'd love to talk about. You know, this pod is about building companies, but we take certainly a very GTM, right, sales and marketing focused lens to it. And you had some, I think, unique things that you did from a marketing standpoint. So we'll let Joe kick it off, but looking forward to a conversation about some of the unconventional things that you did.
Yeah, Arthur, tell us why you did it this way. So obviously, a month or two ago, there was the big Vine AI launch that took the industry by storm, and you guys took a little bit of a similar attack here, doing a highly produced 10-minute video. A bunch of executives, I said it was like speed dating a bunch of men with various European accents. And you guys were walking us through the product. So tell us like what you launched, and more importantly, for the sake of this pod, why you did it the way you did.
Yeah, definitely. Not gonna like try and sell vibe, but basically we've like developed some really cool products around like AI, which is like creative generation, AI assistant, which is like a media planning, but named differently for SMBs, like a publisher platform, and like our performance engine, because like we're very performance oriented. When it comes to marketing and adtech in general, Vibe is a pretty like unique company because like we're going after the SMB market in the large definition of it. So from like little plumbers up to like very large like e-coms and apps. And when you go at that scale, you need to have a marketing that really resonates and is also a bit noisy in some ways. And we try to be different, especially like when it comes to the codes of like adtech in general and adtech marketing, which in my opinion is pretty bad. And usually adtech companies tend to talk to other adtech companies and not to clients. Adtech is very self-centered, and basically we're trying to like put clients at the center of our marketing, basically the product that we build for them and our clients. And that's exactly what we did with the keynote. It was really like showing the product that we're proud about because like it's fully self-serve. And on the other side, like sharing like a customer story that we did with one of our client, carstickers.com. And yeah, but that was like very cool to go like shoot in Oregon, like in their office. And yeah, and the reception is pretty good. Our clients and our audience like kind of understand what we're talking about and what we're doing, and it's highly appreciated. And so yeah, we'll definitely double down on that kind of marketing, basically.
Well, you're going to have to do something different because now everybody's going to copy it if it's so successful for you.
We'll see.
How was the process? So for those who haven't seen it, it was extremely high quality, to Joe's point, 10-minute professionally produced video with exec speaking, product demos, a customer use case. It was really well done. What was the process like? How much work did it require? How much time of yours did it require? Whose idea was it? Just kind of walk us through.
Yeah, the genesis is actually pretty fun. somewhere around like mid-July, end of July, one of our UX designer kind of like demoed me, like our new AI assistant. And I was like so shocked by the quality of it that I said like, we have to do a keynote. Like, and as I knew, like, there were like other products in the work, we just decided like, okay, F it, like, let's do it. And so we went pretty fast because like, it was like 3 months, but actually really like 2 months long project. So we really wanted, of course, like, it was very like, highly inspired, by, Apple keynotes. Of course, we're not like hiding at that at all. And so we wanted like someone, who had the codes, around that. So we kind of, searched, for a director who would be able to produce that. So we worked with a company called Parole, .fyi. They do like plenty of stuff. We had a like massive, fit on like the creative process. And JB, the guy who, the director and the owner of Parole, like actually like did some like commercials for Apple and everything. So he had like those kind of codes. And then yeah, it was like writing very fast. Like there are like lots of things that like aren't perfect, like that will do also much better in the future. But we're very happy about that. So yeah, the process was really like writing the script very fast, identifying the client that we would highlight, and then organizing the shooting, working on all the editing, on the motions, total grading it, and let's go. So that was like a very intense, like basically months and a half once the project like really kicked off. And then like it was just like some like fine tunings here and there. But yeah, that was a pretty intense project, but very pleasurable to work on though.
What did you do besides creating the video to amplify the launch? Like I know, for example, you guys reached out to some people in the community and shared the video ahead of time, which, because obviously we were included in that, but tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is our first kind of, it's the first time that we do this exercise. So we really focused on like first the quality of the production. And then, it was a lot about like, talking to journalists, kind of like getting them excited about that. And I think it resonated pretty well because it's different. I think it's refreshing in a world of like standard marketing, I would say. It's refreshing for them. Of course, like we're also like in a very like trendy, on a very like trendy topic, which is like CTV, SMB, like all those kind of things. So that resonated pretty well. We also sent it like to like adtech influencers and that kind of thing. And then we did a lot of sponsored like announcements like through like a mailing list, like dedicated mailing lists, which like allowed us to get a lot of like registries for the keynote. But overall, like very, very happy about how it turned out.
How are you judging the success of the launch? Short term, obviously. Long term, it's about revenue and number of customers. But something like this, outside of vibes, no pun, right? Like having a largely positive reception. Are there metrics you're looking at? Because you've got a video, you can see downloads and shares and everything like that. Just curious, and is it meeting or exceeding your expectations?
Yeah, I would say it's meeting it as of right now. Like there are like plenty of things that we know that we can do better. At the end of the day, that kind of marketing is not just about like pure ROI. Basically, it's a lot about like, as you said, like the vibes of the company and being different and like getting the attention. At some point as well, like people tend to want to work with like the coolest company out there, and this is actually like something that happened. We had a client like who was like benchmarking and like getting like started with Vibe, an agency, and like they saw the keynote, called their account executives and like told them like, love the keynote, you guys care a lot about what we were doing, and so I'm moving like all my budgets, basically CTV budgets, to that. So yeah, that's ROI, direct ROI in some ways, but I mean it's the kind of enthusiasm that you get like from like the industry, from our clients as well. Like we've received like so many like messages like on even like on Reddit, like X, like LinkedIn, of people like being like very impressed and surprised by this way of communicating. I mean, it's 100% a success for us, and that's like more than good enough for us as a result. And of course, we'll be like milking it in the upcoming weeks, like in product marketing and those kind of things, because it's not just one video. It's actually like it's a raw material that you can use then for like plenty of stuff.
Yeah, there's probably all the B-roll as well as the bloopers. I don't know if that word translates, but having done a couple of these before, you get a lot of material that could be quite humorous.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been sort of workshopping the idea of like, it's kind of like a pyramid, right? Where the base, the foundation of the marketing pyramid is attention. Like a lot of people don't like that because they feel like attention is frivolous, but it's like just literally like metaphysically, you can't accomplish anything from a marketing perspective if people aren't paying attention, right? So it's like attention is the foundation. I think something splashy, something unusual, highly produced like this is really good at that. And then that attention allows you to build your reputation and relationships is one way I put it. So reputation is broader. And then like with that particular client, you see the relationship bit. And then on a more granular level, it's like awareness, definitely, differentiation, which we can get to, and then urgency. Like, why is this an opportunity you need to be capitalizing on now? I think the customer stories really bring the urgency bit to life because you guys are at pains to emphasize that, you can get started and you can have an ad in like 5 minutes. But how do you think about that?
100%. Like, at Vibe, our mission is like, of course, like we do a lot of like performance marketing for Vibe itself. And that's not necessarily where you get like the most creative, or at least in terms of quality. But there, as you said, like it's attention, it's awareness of like who we are, what we claim as well, what we believe in. And that like transpires, from it. And then like you also have like lots of kind of side effects, like when it comes to like the partnerships, that we're doing with, for example, like the publishers, that really helps attracting talents. The Vibe is getting, of course, a lot of traction, in the ad tech industry, as well as like, outside of it, like, for like tech roles and this kind of thing. And it's important to show that the company has high ambitions. And I think that's also like, a translates that. And then just like for our tech team, like work their ass off, like to like, get those products like ready, shipped. And yeah, seeing that their work is being valued, this way is like super exciting. And that's why like when we released it, and we released it in live, like, with all of our employees, like, in person, everybody was like super excited about that. And like, and the fact that we were like actually acting at the level of our ambitions.
I love that you mentioned the Reddit piece before because I think someone else in the industry actually brought it to my attention because they know I'm always advocating that the CEO is the chief evangelist of the company, right? Like there are rare exceptions, but basically like whether the CEO wants to or not, they'll be taken as the primary spokesperson for the company. So you should step into that role and leverage the attention instead of just sort of sitting it out. And I think you do that pretty well. And part of that is being active on social channels where people are discussing you, especially if it's your customers discussing you and not just peers in the industry. So I think someone had like posted a screenshot on Twitter of like a Reddit thread where like it was like a customer or someone like using the platform had posted about it, right? And you were like, "Hey, Arthur here. I'm the CEO of Vibe. Here's how it works. Tell us about that." And you're used to
I think the message was something about like, is Vibe legit? And like, is it like, do they have like their own DSP or not? And I was explaining like basically that I was pretty upfront on the fact that, we were using beeswax, but like in a very specific way. And I was like actually like, explaining it like very transparently. And yeah, I think like, people like transparency and not having like a corporate, like, speech all the time and like, it just like serving a pitch. No, I was not even like selling Vibe or anything like that. Like someone is asking, like, is it legit? Do they have, their own DSP? Oh, it's legit. Like I exist, like, and the company exists. And yeah. And then like, on the DSP front and like all the technology that we build, like, I was very happy to just, to communicate about that. And then like people use it or people don't use it. Like, it's their choice. That's the kind of really cool thing when you work on the SMB market is that like we don't rely on like X or like adtech influencers, like adtech intelligentsia opinion or anything like that. We don't have like to being like conformists, when it comes to what we say and what we do. So yeah, we just, say things how they are. And then like people decide to work with us or not. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So we're not like relying on like, one client or anything like that.
We should dig into how Vibe is different from a customer segment now, because you are unique, right? So like, most of ad tech either is an enterprise sell, kind of selling to big businesses, or it's like an industry sell. It's ad tech selling ad tech from an infrastructure perspective. But the largest companies in ad tech, namely Alphabet and Meta, their customer base is representative of not just the enterprise, and they have, the largest customer segment are SMBs, and there hasn't been, I think, like a B2B breakout in ad tech that has been able to like meaningfully capture the SMB market. So I think it's awesome that you're going after it.
For sure.
How do you think about that from a customer acquisition standpoint? Like I remember your video was well done because I remember a number. I remember 33 million on one of the first frames, which I believe you said was like the, sort of like the global SMB market, which my jaw dropped because it's like, I mean, how do you go after that?
Not with sales, basically, because like you can't have like 10,000 sales, or at least like we don't want to do that.
You're not knocking on the doors of dry cleaners?
No. not.
Get out there and canvas, Arthur. It's election season.
But yeah, no, it's not our DNA. I think like Vibe is pretty unique because like we have that like product-led growth DNA, and that's what like excites us. We've done our time in like the agency, like enterprise side of that business, and really like no regret of like having left it, because like it was like, I mean, very hard to work with, and especially in terms of like value creation, we don't think a lot of good of that part of the industry. But yeah, when it comes to SMBs, you have to do things very differently, and I think like not a lot of companies like go after it because the playbook is unknown. When you go after like agencies, when you go after like enterprise sales, I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, you get some sales, you get like some a strong pitch, like a good tech, and there you go. Like, you can go after it. When it comes to SMB, like, nobody kind of has cracked it, really. And so you have to think differently. Our way of going after that market is like doing growth initiatives, that can have like massive scale. So of course we do a lot of like paid acquisition, and we even use Vibe, for Vibe actually. And that works pretty well. But that's like just one part of everything that we do. We'll do a lot of like outbound, like cold emailing at scales that like people like, have a hard time, like, imagining how big it is. We'll do like, and we test pretty much everything. Like we'll be testing billboards, direct mail, like pretty much anything that you can think of, and then that can bring scale. But that's kind of the very important thing. Like it has to bring scale. We're really focused on like building an asset, when it comes to growth, and anything that's limited in terms of impact, we're not doing, on that front. And then
one question, we have a lot of marketing people that listen to this. So is there anything that you found that works that was surprising, or something that didn't work that you thought would, have a bigger impact?
The billboards, definitely, we thought it would have a bigger impact. I don't think we've done it well in the past because we're buying like, remnant inventory and this kind of thing. And I mean, we saw very, very, very limited returns, on that front. But a lot of it comes down also to actually like, allocating the right budgets. Now my conviction around like billboards, because we tested it with like a very limited budget, most likely you'll have to put like several hundred of Ks, on the table to get like a good understanding of it, which we now can do. And then the thing that works like really well, but that's actually, it's really engineered, and engineering driven in some ways. It's cold emailing. Cold emailing just works. And at every basically size, of companies, like, from local, like very small local businesses, up to like very large, enterprise clients as well. It's very hard, to operate. You need to have massive scale, to actually like make it like, interesting, but it works. So I would definitely not like, bury, cold emails. It really works. And it's a lot of like copywriting as well. Basically anything that like cold emailing and marketing guru say on LinkedIn, don't do that. Doesn't work. You have to kind of think out of the box, when it comes to that. But when it works really well. So
I think you're touching on something that's so important for people to understand about marketing, which is the way you approach it depends so much on the type of customer you're going after and how many of them you're going after. Like if you're going after SMBs, which most ad tech companies are not, it's going to be, PLG or like performance marketing, right? Hence, like you're using, Vibe for yourself, using performance marketing tactics, cold email, etc. if you have an enterprise sales focused organization, then it's all about like PR, building credibility, like operating within like a relatively insular ecosystem and like getting people to trust you, making relationships, all that stuff. In your case, it's interesting because even though your primary market is SMBs, you do still, because my understanding is because of the publisher side of the ecosystem and also because of, investors and talent and all that sort of stuff, you do have to play both games a little bit.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, like, we're also going after, like, I would say enterprise clients, especially like, in e-commerce and those kind of areas. So like, we also have like, enterprise sales. Like, it's not just like one thing that we do. And really, like, you have to, like, it's kind of the hockey stick. Like, you have a very long tail clients. Those ones have to be addressed by purely a product like driven approach, with zero to very limited support. So your product has to be like exceptionally good at like guiding them and everything. And then you have like the very large clients, I mean, who have to be sold to. Like, I mean, those, the CMOs, and the head of acquisitions, of those kind of companies, they won't just like create, an account by themselves. They need to be sold to. And so, and you need that, and you need, but your platform still needs to like, be relevant, for them. And then it's a reportation. If you manage to do that, you have a very healthy reportation on your revenue. And I think that's where we've been like really succeeding. It's like, being able to go like after like the very large enterprise clients, whereas like also going after like the long tail. It's definitely harder. It takes more time because like you have to put a lot of efforts on the product. But on the long term, we believe that this is why basically the Vibe will be able to own that market.
Arthur, is Vibe a DSP?
Vibe is composed of like a DSP, but we present ourselves as an ad platform. First, like, can feel like a very slight difference, but it's actually pretty big. The product guideline and motto that we have, like from since day one, is that my mom should be able to use Vibe. And by the way, disclaimer, she's not a media trader. And that's very important. And I think that's what an ad platform is. Like, an ad platform is pretty much an advertising platform that anyone can use. Whereas like a DSP requires like lots of expertise around like programmatic and all those kind of things. DSPs, I think are great for very large agencies, like Fortune 500 brands. And even like the very large ones, like they don't want to use DSPs, like that come with like commitment and everything. But DSP, at the end of the day, a DSP is also a tech. And so, yeah, sure. I mean, we're in the programmatic ecosystem. So of course, like in some ways it's a DSP. It's just that it's bundled with our own like audience segments, like a very cool like UX UI. Like it's pretty much like all bundled. It's an all-in-one platform to advertise in CTV.
Yeah, that makes sense. And here's a free idea for your next video. It's so easy that your mom can do it, and you should get your mom, and she should build a campaign and run it and have great ROI.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a freebie for you.
Do you work in marketing?
Arthur, so it's interesting. Like, I think you guys are going all in on accessibility, right? And like, you see that in everything you do, right? The way you speak about the company, the marketing, the product, calling it an ad platform, not a DSP, your mom could use it, et cetera, that all coheres. I imagine that plays into your differentiation in the space. And I'm curious, for you to talk about the sort of both sides of that, right? Like there's an advantage to being like more accessible, but then also a DSP, I would imagine, might do things that, an ad platform, as you describe it, doesn't, right? Or might have a sort of complexity or feature set that one might not have and the other might. So just curious for your perspective on that.
No, absolutely. Like, I mean, you can do plenty of things that, with a DSP. I think most of those things are like absolutely useless, especially on CTV, but I mean, lots of third parties are creating problems that don't really exist and sell solutions on top of that, and especially like for SMBs, but like brand safety, like all those kind of thing. Like who cares? Especially, I'm not saying that on display. On display, it's a very big issue, and that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, on CTV, when you like run like solely on premium content, like who needs that? But if a client wants like those kind of features, just use a DSP. Like Vibe is not what you're looking for. Like Vibe is like the cool thing is that it allows us basically to be very opinionated, and that's also very important when you want to build a platform around performance, because freedom in programmatic kind of kills the performance. When you can like add like tons of complexity in your campaign setup, usually that doesn't really translate into into performance. Whereas like within that platform, as you bundle everything, you can like really build an experience and a user flow that guides them to performance. Like the way we expose the inventory, we can expose it in a way that like we know will maximize performance. Like the way people can like mix audience, we can like limit a lot of things. And so all those things like we can do because we're in that platform and we can be opinionated. Whereas like in a DSP, it's like you can do anything. So if you're a massive expert, like you can do like some crazy stuff and get a lot of performance. But our clients don't have time for that. I like to compare like basically Vibe and DSPs in general, kind of as like Linux, or like Unix systems and macOS. Like, sure, if you're super good with Linux and you know how to code and like navigate Bash, like cool, like you'll be able to do like some pretty cool stuff and like very hardcore stuff. But 99% of the people don't know how to even boot such OS, and that's why we've built the kind of Mac OS for CTV, where sure you can't do exactly the things that you could do on Linux, but at least it works and it's simple to use.
Yeah, the Linux comparison is great because it's a classic. What we're really talking about is like a classic counterpoint in like a market where you have sort of a simpler option, and it's like it's streamlined, it's accessible, it's fast, it delivers results, and then you have a more like complex, maybe like full functionality option, and they're going to make a different kind of argument, right, about where for advertisers who need this level of complexity and customizability, yada yada. And so it seems to me like you have a very good understanding of like what role you want to be playing in the ecosystem. Yep. And then it's just for each company to understand its role relative to the others and make that case so that there's alignment between how the product is, how the company is presenting itself, and what sort of customers they're going after.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, because when you do that, you have to be like very clear in your mind about like what you can do and what you want to do and what you don't want to, and not be greedy. Because as we grew, as we got like also like some like press coverage and everything, like we had like very large agencies like reaching out to us and like willing to work with us, but with like their kind of conditions. And we told them like, look, we're not going to do that. Of course, like you have a lot of budget, but based on what you want to do, just use the trade desk. Like it's it's a perfect solution for that. Like just Vibe is not paid for you, and that's okay. Like, and that's okay.
How did publisher and media company and streamer conversations go when you talk to them about Vibe and, you know, the concept of bringing like, I don't know how many customers you have, but could be thousands of potential new brands to run across their properties. And have you built like processes to manage that? I'm talking about like creative approval and brand approval, because SMBs, you're going to have all types and you're going to have, you know, varying creative types and everything like that. Like I realize it's sort of kind of wonky, but this is very interesting ad tech stuff. Like how does that work?
No, of course. Like there have been like more than 10,000 like campaigns that are run on the platform. Wow. So of course, like I think we're nearing like 5,000 like clients right now. So like yeah, the scale is massive. The publishers are very welcoming to us because like we bring that demand that is very unique, and I don't think like any other company has been able to kind of grab that kind of demand at that scale. And it comes with lots of like positive effects for them when it comes to yield, when it comes to also user experience in their like streaming platform, because it brings like diversity. That's the great thing. At the beginning, there was some kind of like weird discussions because some clients, some publishers, kind of were seeing us as competitors, especially the ones who have like their own like ad platforms.
Yeah, I don't think like a local sales team, right? I can imagine that being concerned.
Exactly. But when you think about it, like it's exactly like if you're an e-com brand, basically, like you have products that you sell. You'll build your own like website because you have some kind of endemic demand, and that's great. And you should do it, like definitely. But then, well, you'll probably sell on marketplaces and Amazon in general, because like that can bring you the scale as well. And it's not like competing per se. It's just like two ways of accessing like your products. And some people prefer to buy it from Amazon because of the ease of use and of the platform, and then like some people will want to buy direct from you, and those are like two different use cases. And like if you don't have both, like you'll just miss on one part of the demand. So now like we really like collaborate with the publishers, and which is great, and that allows us also to like build a better experience for our clients. And yeah, the second part of your question, sorry about that. So on that, so we use Beeswax. Beeswax, that's a part of the job. And this is why that's also like some part of the reason why we use it. And we also have, it's actually a pretty funny one. We have an AI, that like watches like pretty much all videos that we have. And the fun thing is that it's pretty bad. Like it sees basically nudity and violence and guns, like pretty much everywhere. Like as soon as like there's a bit of skin exposed, like it will say, "Oh my God, that's nudity," and so it blocks creatives like a lot. But we just like validate manually then, and the volume is like nothing that's unmanageable basically, and anything that's not validated will not go live. So, but we really don't have like many issues. I'm to be honest, like very surprised that we haven't had like more abuse of the platform. Like we've maybe blocked like 10 campaigns, like over the whole lifetime of the company. So that's really not a lot. Like,
so there was a customer that actually tried to abuse the system, like run something that's inappropriate on television.
Yeah. Like
without naming names, can you give us an example?
Of course, we've had so we've had drugs. We've had, and I couldn't even tell you like what's the name of it. Like it was just like purely like to buy drugs from a phone number. Basically, we had like a hate speech, like Proud Boys, like group, which like Nazi flags and all those kind of things. So the AI like flagged it like immediately. Yeah, and we had like a few like nudity, which was weird. I think it was just like people trying to like see if it can go through. It can't. But yeah, that's pretty much about that. But it's not a massive issue, and nothing went live on TV. Like that's also very important. Like nothing, not a single impression for any of those.
It is not funny, but actually extremely funny to imagine being like, "Oh, John, your local cocaine dealer."
That was pretty much that. That was pretty much that. So
it's pretty funny, but yeah, obviously you need to have controls in place for that. So that makes sense. I imagine like Disney would not be particularly thrilled if they ran like cocaine ads. So.
Nah, I don't think they'd be very happy about that. But I don't think any publisher would be very happy about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's very critical for us. The creative validation, and even though we don't have like many problems, like we still invest on that front because it's the kind of thing where that's also why like publishers trust us. So very, very important.
So we'll wrap this just with maybe a final question. You're at a company offsite. How big is the company?
So now we're like around like 120, like getting to 120 people, something like that. We grew like so at that offsite, we're about 90 people, cause like lots of people have also joined the company. But in February at our last offsite, we're like 40. So like the company is growing like super, super fast. Yeah.
Hyper growth.
Yeah. The past 6 months have been like pretty crazy.
So you're probably at or past the point where you know everybody's name.
That was true 48 hours ago. Now it's all good. Like I now know everyone.
Yeah, offsites are very good for that.
Yeah.
What had the impact of this week, and obviously well timed with the launch and the video and the press? What has the marketing presence done for the company internally, and have you done anything around that to galvanize the employee base around all the marketing?
We communicate a lot internally in the company. We're very like transparent about everything. So of course, like they knew about what all that was announced. We've also like spent a lot of time with the team. So with like some kind of circle sessions, like collecting feedback from them, answering their questions. We've highlighted basically the next 3-year strategy and a lot about like also answering like what's the plan with Vibe, what's the goal with the company, because like they see a company that's growing very, very fast. And it both can be like exciting and frightening in some ways. And yeah, so it's important to, I wouldn't say reassure them, just to tell them the truth, and like they like it or not. The news is that I think pretty much everyone is like is super excited, and I think like they like it, or they don't tell me that they don't, but no, everyone is like super pumped. We're a remote company, like fully remote company, so it's important that we do those offsites. We do 2 a year, one in the US, one in France every year, and fly everyone. Carbon footprint, it's not where we're the best, but we're getting better. But yeah, so it's a very like exciting moment in the company, and I don't know if it's marketing. It's just like sharing with the team and being very, very transparent. This is something that has been like very positive for us in general, and maintaining the vibe. I think that's also very important. I think that's what everyone is the most shocked about like this week, because the company grows so much, so lots of new faces, and the vibe is the same as when we're like 40 or 20 people. And this is a question I don't know how to answer, how we've done it. People have asked me like, how did you maintain that? And I'm like, to be honest, like, I don't know. Like, we've just like hired like nice people, like who are like us, and that works.
Yeah. I think, having, been there before, the hows will emerge, later. Yep. When you have some time to sit back and reflect, and you're not in the middle of all of it. And you'll be able to, I think, tell a great narrative once you've achieved the mission. Arthur, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time during a busy week. How can people get in touch with you or learn more about Vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. So to learn more about Vibe, vibe.co, and people can register and play around with the platform. Even if you're in adtech, we don't care. Go ahead, play with it. If that can inspire like your own company, like to create better products, we'll be happy. And yeah, people can reach out to me, like Arthur at vibe.co, or on X, Arthur Querou, so Querou, or Reddit. But yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Jerry, you want to take us home?
Yeah, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Please like, subscribe wherever you found us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Arthur.
Welcome.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.